Nostalgia Mania, press start and see the games of the past where we long to be. Tune in each week, it's time to rewind. Retro memories for the gamer's mind.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 29 of Nostalgia Mania. Each week, we dive into the games, movies, shows, and memories that made growing up in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s absolutely unforgettable. Together, we'll take a fun, laid-back trip down memory lane. I am your host, the real Josh Elliott, and tonight, we have a special episode. As you check the logo down below, we are going to celebrate 30 years of one of Disney's best movies, a Goofy movie. I cannot believe that it has been 30 years already since this movie has come out. I'm getting old, and we are all getting old as we sit here in 2025. But we will get to that. We are going to have a fun episode, guys. We're going to celebrate this. We got a couple interviews that both Bill Farmer and Jason Marsden did for the 30th anniversary. So we'll play a couple clips of that, kind of reminiscing. They kind of reminisce about their time on the show, their time as Goofy and Max throughout the years. Bill Farmer obviously has been the voice of Goofy for basically our entire lifetime. It wasn't until like I think it was the 80s is when he took that over. So, but yeah, guys, appreciate everybody for tuning in. We are live, as we always are, each and every Tuesday night on Nostalgia Mania on Facebook. We are live on our YouTube page at JSE Studios. We are live on Twitch at The Real Josh Elliott each and every week. Appreciate everybody for tuning in there. We're also live and on all podcast platforms, wherever you like to get your podcasts. We are there as well, and those episodes drop every Wednesday morning. You guys can listen to all of our episodes, all 29 episodes of Nostalgia Mania. So be sure to subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff on all those platforms. We are here. I love Goofy. Joshua, I may have said that wrong. Appreciate you tuning in. Goofy is a phenomenal character, one of my favorites. My grandpa, growing up, used to always call him Goofy and compare him to the character, so it was kind of fun, kind of going back and reminiscing about a Goofy movie, which came out in April of 1995, which is pretty crazy. Let's throw up a graphic here. Here's the cover of a Goofy movie, and I'll kind of give you a summary for those of you who might not be familiar, or if you are and don't remember exactly what a Goofy movie is all about. So a Goofy movie kicks off with Max dreaming of turning into his dad, showing his fear of becoming uncool. After pulling a stunt at school to impress Roxanne, Max gets in trouble, and Goofy decides that they need a bonding road trip. Max, desperate to keep a promise to Roxanne, lies and says he'll be at the Powerline concert in Los Angeles. He's forced to choose between following his dad's plans or his own, and Max secretly changes their route. Along the way, the two clash, but also slowly reconnect during their misadventures with possums, Bigfoots, and camping chaos. After finally opening up to each other, they team up to sneak into the Powerline concert. Max impresses Roxanne, comes clean about his lies, and strengthens his bond with Goofy, ending the road trip on a high note. And that's a Goofy movie in a nutshell. Again, one of the best Disney movies to have ever been made. I watched it again just a few days ago, and it still holds up today. If you guys haven't gone back and watched that, it still holds up. It's got phenomenal visuals. The story is great. And the cool thing about a Goofy movie is when you're a kid in the 90s watching this, you identify a lot with Max and how you just want him to have fun, want him to go hang out with Roxanne, want him to go to this Powerline concert, and you want Goofy to kind of leave him alone. As you get older, and as we become parents, or as we just get older in general, we all kind of start to slowly identify with Goofy, where, hey, all he's wanting to do is spend time with his kid. All he wants to do is have a good trip and have a good time. So like I said, it resonates with not only children and kids, but it also with parents and adults who can watch this movie. But yeah, so as I said, this movie was released in April of 1995, April 7th, and it was based on a goof troop. For those of you who are familiar with Goofy and Max, they were in a show called Goof Troop. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Bill Farmer is the voice of Goofy and has been in pretty much everything we have seen, unless you've seen some really, really old Disney shows from like pre-80s, pre-70s. It's all been Bill Farmer. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to take a break and play a short clip of this interview, or this little car ride between Bill Farmer and Jason Marsden, kind of reminiscing about their time on the show. I've got 3 or 4 clips. We'll play the first one here.
You have been the voice of Goofy for 38 years?
38 years. In 1986, my agent said, do you do any of the Disney characters? At the time, there were 4 or 5 Mickeys, Donalds, Goofies, and they wanted to settle on one person. Sure, I like Goofy. He's my favorite character. And then about a month later, they said they'd like to try me. They don't sign you to a big contract or anything. It's for one show.
Yeah.
And now, after about 3,000 or 4,000 shows, I think I got the job.
Of all the people, Bill Farmer's the goofiest.
Gosh.
So, Bill Farmer, the voice of Goofy since 1986. We all know Jason Marsden is the voice of Max Goof. You've also heard him in The Lion King. He was singing voice, he was the voice of Thackeray Binks, the black cat in Hocus Pocus. I got off a line, my bad. And then he was also in The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and he was the voice of Kovu. Did not realize he was the voice of Kovu, so that's kind of cool. Jim Cummings, the voice of Pete. He played in The Lion King, and he was the voice of Scar in the song Be Prepared. And he's also the iconic voice of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger in the Winnie the Pooh series. Rob Paulson is the voice of PJ. Sean Wallace, or actually better known as Wallace Shawn, was in The Princess Bride. He's also Rex in A Toy Story. Immediately recognized that voice when you heard Principal Mazur. Roxanne was played by Kelly Martin. Bobby Zimmerowski was played by Pauly Shore, who, funny enough, as I was kind of researching this, he specifically told Disney not to credit him as the voice of Bobby because they didn't want Disney to sell this movie based on his name. So pretty crazy. He is 100% uncredited in the movie. If you look at if you watch the movie and see the credits, he's not there. And then obviously Powerline was voiced and sang by Tevin Campbell, who is mostly known for his R&B music career. And this movie has pretty much became a cult classic over the course of, these 30 years. And what I'm going to do now is, since we're still on this topic of voices, Bill Farmer kind of teaches Jason Marsden how to do the Goofy laugh, and then Jason Marsden talks about his time voicing Max.
So Goofy movie was supposed to be a Goof Troop movie.
Yes.
I was 18 at the time. I still sounded kind of like a youthful.
You still sound like that.
I guess I do sound young. It's my thing. But for Max, because he's 14 and probably going through puberty a little bit, gave him a little sort of like a little voice crack here and there, and noticing that Max is also going through the struggles of getting older and changes. That it would be fun if he laughed like Goofy, laughed like his dad. And the first day recording, I'm watching you do it, and you would like convulse. Your whole body would get into it.
You got to get into the physicality of the action. Gosh.
If you were to teach someone to do the Goofy laugh, how do you do that?
I listened to the way Pinto Colvig did it in the old days, and I broke it down into 3 parts. There's the
like a cough, and then a
and it's like it's kind of a suck in on that third one. You got it. You got it. And in the opening scene, they melded ours together.
It wasn't in the script, but I was like, if Max is going to laugh, you might throw in a little yuck and be embarrassed about that because he sounds like his dad. So when I started doing that, I think they added that to the beginning dream sequence. That's
there you do. That's how you do it.
That's where we get the big bucks, everybody.
Yes.
Good stuff. Love this interview. You guys are going to get a kick out of some of these clips that we show throughout this episode. But let's jump into this. We'll start off with the opening dream sequence. The movie kind of starts off kind of surreal right off the bat. Max has this dream where he's this cool, suave dude, basically Disney's version of Zac Efron. Before Efron was a thing, about to kiss Roxanne. And then he morphs into Goofy. giant teeth, floppy ears, the whole thing. That dream immediately turned into a nightmare. So I think this dream kind of perfectly sets up Max's kind of internal battle. He's scared of turning into his dad, and then kind of scared of losing his, individual to be like an individual, kind of scared of embarrassing himself. So kind of a crazy start to a Goofy movie, and we jump into Max waking up to a phone call, which if anybody caught that Mickey Mouse telephone there in his room, kind of cool there. Powerline poster or picture in the background, but Mickey Mouse actually makes a couple appearances in this movie. So anyway, this is kind of reminiscent of like all of our bedrooms in the 90s, right? We had those crazy telephones if we had a phone in the bedroom, right? We had posters hanging up on the wall. We had, our favorite stuff just decorated and decked out all over the bedroom. So pretty cool to see Max here doing that and answering a Mickey Mouse phone. So from there, we get kind of he goes off to school, and we get kind of a real world opening. Max trying to desperately be cool for Roxanne. And so his plan is to kind of crash the last day of school, which they're having an assembly with, and he wants to be or put on a full-on Powerline performance with his two buddies, PJ and Bobby. And yeah, Max was pretty much a visionary. Basically, if TikTok had existed, Max would have been viral in about 5 seconds. Anyway, after the Today musical number that they played, he, of course, gets in trouble by Wallace Shawn's character, Principal Mazur. And there he is right there. And he definitely is extremely angry at Max for breaking up that school performance and the assembly. I'm sorry. And he calls Goofy, and he tells Goofy that you better get your boy in line before he ends up in the electric chair. And it's pretty funny that they use the electric chair, because it got me thinking that, was that really a fear in 1995 of if you break a law and go to jail, going to the electric chair? And then I started thinking, and I said, you know what? Like, I kind of wanted this episode to be, for those of you who are Office fans, Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey both have a podcast called Office Ladies, who they go through each episode of The Office and they give a breakdown and all that good stuff. That's kind of what I wanted these movie episodes to kind of be like, where we kind of start from the top of the show or top of the movie and kind of run our way through. And that's kind of what I'm doing here today. So Principal Mazur says, you better straighten your boy out before he gets in the electric chair. Got me to go onto a sidebar and look up the electric chair. And I'm extremely surprised. Do you know how many people have been executed by electrocution, aka the electric chair? That number is way higher than I thought. The number is 4,300 have been executed by electrocution. The most recent being in 2020 in Tennessee, which, again, way more recent than I thought. Did not think we used that form of execution anymore, especially as recent as 5 years ago. But I dug a little bit deeper. So the electric chair was first used in 1890. And then I did some quick math. 4,300 people since 1890. That's 31 electric chair executions every year. That's crazy. So yeah, it was a fear, even in 1995. 31 per year. That's wild. And from the research that I did, it was originally believed to be a quick and painless method of execution. It tended to be humane, but it was highly criticized because there were some botched executions where two people had survived, Willie Francis and Doyle Ham. So got me on a sidebar. I had to check that out because I had, for A, no idea that 4,000 people had done it. B, that it was even still happening, and it is. 31 a year. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, yeah. Let's get back on track. Let's get back in the swing of things here. So, Goofy gets Max out of school and tells him, we're gonna go on a road trip. We're gonna go fishing on the same route as my dad, and we're gonna go just take you away. We don't want you to end up in the electric chair, basically, is what he tells Max. So I got a screenshot here for those of you watching live. It's a screenshot of the open road. But yeah, he decides to take that they need to bond the old-fashioned way, and the classic father-son road trip begins. And they sing that classic On the Open Road song, which is one of my favorites from the movie. There are plenty of good songs on this movie, but this is definitely one of them. Also in this one, Mickey and Donald Duck make an appearance in their full form, not in a phone form. But yeah, this sequence is just complete cartoon chaos. You had falling pianos, road rage, funerals, and Goofy is just singing along to On the Open Road. But yeah, Mickey and Donald have cameos as hitchhikers, like I said, and I guess the Disney animators just kind of loved hiding these little Easter eggs, these Disney characters that kind of show up. Mickey Mouse, that's the second time Mickey Mouse has showed up. Donald Duck was actually mentioned before they got into the car because Goofy asked Max if he wanted to go fishing with his best bud, and Max says, "Who? Donald Duck?" So pretty cool that they did that. So they're on the road. Goofy and Max heading on the open road, and they're following Goofy's map. And the same map, the same route, the same stops that him and his dad did years ago. And they end up at a place called Possum Park. The classic Possum Park. And if you don't know, if you know, you know. The animatronic, horrifying possums that pop out of these holes in the ground and start singing. It's pretty funny, and it's pretty crazy how this is still in business from when Goofy was a child, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. But this is called Lester's Possum Park, and Max, as a teenager would be, is completely mortified by the possums, and honestly, if my dad brought me to something like this, I'd be mortified as well. So, then from there, they decided to go camping. And before we get to the camp, we got to show this character right here, Lester the Possum. Which, funny enough, the director of a Goofy movie voices Lester the Possum. Fun fact there. But he tries to get Max to hug him, and he does not. Basically, punches him in the face, gets his mask to flip around 2 or 3 times, and yeah, that's Possum Park. From there, the map that you can see on the screen takes them to a campground where they decide to go camping. And Goofy sets up the tents and gets everything ready to go, even practices fishing, and they run in to Bigfoot, angry Bigfoot, and they get trapped into the car. Goofy reaches out and gets a can of ABC soup, or High Dad soup, as he likes to call it. And this is kind of where we start seeing the turn of Max. He kind of starts to slowly come around to what Goofy's trying to do. He's still annoyed, still not wanting to do what Goofy wants to do. But when he says, "Hey, remember High Dad soup? You used to spell High Dad with the alphabet in this soup." And then before Max gets done with it, he spells Hi Dad, hands it to Goofy, and then turns around and goes to sleep. Which, funny enough, Goofy and the Bigfoot, who is now on top of the car, snore all night, give Max absolutely no ability to sleep because the snoring is way too loud, and basically kills that sentiment right off the bat after saying Hi Dad. Now Max is also immediately angry that he can't go to sleep. So, and it's at that point where they decide to he decides to look at the map, which is right here on the screen. So, yeah, the emotional turning point is this screen, the map. So Max secretly changes their map and steering them away from Goofy's fishing destination, which you can see there on the screen. And they head toward Los Angeles for the Powerline concert. It's a small betrayal, but it feels huge, especially when you're watching in this as an adult. Like I said earlier, like if you're a kid watching this back in 1995, you're on Max's side. You want him to change that map. You want him to go to Powerline. As an adult, as a father, as a dad, as a parent, you more identify with Goofy. And like I said, it was a small betrayal as a kid. It's a huge betrayal as an adult. So, it kind of captures every kid, when you start pulling away from your parents and making your own choices. So even if it's messy, right? And that's kind of where we're at with Max. So at that point, the scene kind of gets an emotional gut punch because Max and Goofy end up wrecking their vehicle, and they sing a song right before they wreck the vehicle. And I wanted to point out, I wish I had a video of this, but they changed their tire on that vehicle at least 4 times, which I know they've got 4 tires. I get that. So maybe they just went around and they, we're seeing them change each tire. I feel like it's the same tire 4 times that they're changing. Maybe I didn't look close enough. I'll have to go back and check it out. But they changed a lot of tires on this road trip. But from there, after that tire, the last tire is changed, the car rolls down the hill and ends up into the water. And like I said, that's where this screenshot comes into play. And that emotional gut punch that I said, Goofy and Max's car kind of go over a waterfall and they kind of cling to each other. And Goofy says, "I trust you, Max." So what I want to do here before I get too terribly far, I'm going to go backwards just a little bit because I skipped the clip. Jason Marsden, the voice of Max, talks about his favorite clip, which has to do with right around the time Max was changing the map. They end up running into Pete and PJ, who are camping in style. They have a huge RV. They have a bowling alley on the top of the RV. It's way different than Goofy and Max, where they're camping in tents and going fishing. So they run into them, and Pete overhears Max telling PJ that he changed the map and they're heading toward LA. And Jason Marsden tells his favorite scene of the movie was that scene in the hot tub with Goofy and Pete. Let's take a look.
Can I tell you my favorite scene in the movie?
Yeah.
It sounds weird, but it's the scene with Goofy and Pete in the hot tub.
Maybe Max isn't all the things that you think a son should be, but he loves me.
Hey, my son respects me.
Yeah. I didn't like that scene at first because I thought, oh, I'm not doing Goofy enough. But it worked in that
works
scene.
so good because
it worked
it's
really good. Now I love that scene.
Because it's a conversation between two dads. You and Jim Cummings just knocked out of the park.
If you keep them under your thumb, they'll never end up in the gutter. Under your thumb, Goof. Hey there, pal.
Rambo, they go right together.
On the open road. Great scene. Like I said, it's a great father-son moment, and it's just kind of cool to see Bill Farmer and Jason Marsden kind of seeing each other quite often, because they did the 25-year anniversary 5 years ago. They see each other quite often, and you'll see that in the last clip. But like we said, Goofy makes his way. The car makes its way over the waterfall. They cling on to each other, and it's at this point, after Goofy already knows that Max has changed the path, they've already went toward Los Angeles, and that's kind of what caused this wreck. This is where that big bonding moment happens. They're going over the waterfall, and Goofy says, "I trust you, Max." I mean, as a kid, you really don't know how much weight that line carries. But as an adult, it just kind of hits you like a ton of bricks, and it's a big one. So, and it's at this point they decide, you know what? I'm going to take you to that Powerline concert, and we're going to get you up on stage, and you're going to impress Roxanne. And it's at that point they start working together, and that's where Goofy and Max pretty much become unstoppable when they're working together. When they're working against each other, it's a headbutt, right? So, but yeah, here we are. Ba-boom. They finally get to that Powerline concert. Max and Goofy sneak backstage, cause a bunch of chaos, and somehow, some way, end up on the stage dancing with Powerline. So, perfection. Perfect way to end the road trip. Max ends up getting the girl. Goofy gets his respect. And the father-son bond is stronger than ever. Stronger than it was, right? That's that build of what we thought was a bond, non-existent bond. And now here we are, father-son, working together for one common goal. So, yeah, if you guys listen to, I'm not going to play it here on the show because I don't want any copyright issues, but the little short clip that I have of the Powerline song that announced this show, go check out our social medias. That is probably my favorite song of the entire movie. But what we're going to do is, I think we're going to play this last final clip of Bill Farmer and Jason Marsden. The final reminiscing 30 years of a Goofy movie. Let's take a listen.
30 years, Billy.
Yeah, 30 years. I can't believe it.
As an actor, I'm so fortunate to be a working actor. That's so rare.
That's nice.
And every job, you don't know how it's going to affect people, where it's going to go. And to have worked on something like this that has meant so much to people in ways I never expected, I never take that for granted. I'm very proud to be a goof.
I am so proud that people come up to me all the time and say, a Goofy movie changed my life. I couldn't talk to my dad until that movie came out. It became our movie.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's what it meant to me and means to me today. Even more so today than when it came out in 1995.
Yes.
It's one of those rare films that has caught on and just continually grow.
And I love that I get to see you all the time. You know, sometimes you work with
That's great.
You never get to see everyone you work with, but you and I they're constantly throwing us back together. And thank goodness we like each other.
Yeah, it's about relationships. You're my secondary son.
You're my secondary dad. Billy, you know what would make the perfect ending to this trip?
What?
I gotta hear that Goofy yell.
The Goofy yell?
Yeah, full
Okay.
force.
Never gets old.
So, here we are. 30 years later. Goof movie still holds up. Again, like I said, I just watched it a couple days ago. To me, it's more than just a cartoon. It's a letter to that awkward, complicated stage of life when you're, just trying to grow up and you're still bothered from where you came from. It reminds you of that family, even though it drives you crazy, drives you nuts, it's still worth fighting for. And sometimes you got to do some crazy things for family, right? You might be at odds with someone you love. It all takes a little road trip, maybe a little patience, maybe a killer concert, aka Powerline, to bring you back together. What a great movie. It's like I said, it's my sister's favorite Disney movie, I think. It's one of my favorites. And this is a phenomenal movie. Still, to this day, to this second, cannot believe it's been 30 years. It does not feel like it's been 30 years since 1995. It's wild to me, but here we are. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hello. This is my 26th birthday. Tomorrow's my big 26th. Happy birthday, Mr. Fulton. Appreciate you for tuning in. We're just at the end of this 30-year anniversary of a Goofy movie. We kind of talked about, reminisced about the movie. We go live each and every week for Nostalgia Mania, kind of talking about an item, a movie, a video game, something that is nostalgic from the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s. Pick that topic, and we chat about it live every Tuesday night. It's on all podcast platforms. You can see up at the top right of the screen. But there you have it, 30 years of a Goofy movie. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Before we jump and end this, I did want to bring up, because this is a movie that I have not seen that I can remember. Maybe I've seen it once, but a Goofy movie did have a sequel, and that is an extremely Goofy movie where Max enrolls into college, and Goofy basically didn't want to, he struggles with an empty nest, right? So after he loses his job, Goofy decides to go back to college as well. And of course, it's the same college as Max went to. And now Max is trying to go to college and avoid his dad, who's also in the same school. So in the end, Max and Goofy learn to respect each other's growth while keeping their father-son bond strong. So I'm sure it's just as good. Probably not as good as the original, but if it's anywhere close, then it's probably worth watching. So again, appreciate everybody for tuning in. This has been episode 29. Next week is episode 30. 3-0. Crazy, we're already at episode 30. We are cruising along with these episodes here. So we do not have an episode topic yet, but I will be sure to post that on social media within the next day or two. You will be able to tell, because whatever's on our socials is usually the topic. We'll start doing Did You Know, clips or did you know facts. We'll post those on social media, so you'll start to know what our topic's going to be. If you have a suggestion, just drop a comment on this podcast episode, whether you're listening or watching. If it's on YouTube, if it's on Apple, Amazon, wherever, just drop a comment of what we should cover. Again, we started off doing video games. We've kind of veered off a little bit. We're still going to go back and do some video games here and there. But basically, we want to go nostalgic with everything that happened, specifically in the 90s. That's probably going to be where we spend the most of our time. That's where we grew up. We do probably want to touch on a little bit of the 80s. Also, early 2000s. That's a big area as well. So if you guys have any suggestions for topics to cover that we have not done already, like I said, drop a comment. We will definitely take a look at it and do a future episode on it. So again, appreciate everybody for tuning in, listening. This has been the real Josh Elliott with Nostalgia Mania. We'll be back live next Tuesday night with episode 30. And as always, let's get nostalgic.
Through the 80s and 90s, the games we all know. From Mario's jumps to Sonic speed. Legends and Quest, every gamer's creed. Grab your controller, the stage is set. We're diving deep, don't you forget. Nostalgia Mania, where memories